Coming up on Chapman News, protests on campus after Chapman's head of DEI and provost are placed on leave. Plus, the university now under federal investigation over incidents of anti-Semitism.
Also coming up, at least 43 people have died as a result of tornadoes and other severe weather that hit several states. We have the latest updates on the aftermath.
From Dodge College of Film and Media Arts, this is Chapman News.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Chapman News. I'm Courtney Kim.
And I'm Prinny Martinez.
After nearly 2 months, the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas is over. Israel has launched a new series of airstrikes across Gaza. There are reports more than 400 people have been killed. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to continue the strikes against Hamas until all remaining hostages are released. The White House reaffirmed U.S. support of the latest assault, stating, quote, "Israel has a right to defend itself." Meanwhile, the United Nations is urgently calling for a ceasefire and the immediate resumption of humanitarian aid to Gaza.
At least 43 people have been killed as a result of a series of storms that ravaged the South and Midwest. As of yesterday, Missouri had 12 deaths, the highest number as a result of over 1,000 reported storms, which include tornadoes and wildfires. Mississippi also reported several deaths from the storms. Melvin Tolbert was one of the many affected who lost family members and experienced the tornado firsthand.
And then all of a sudden, I saw the tornado coming up from the southwest, and the wind picked up to 80, 90 miles an hour, blew all my buildings out of the way, blew my house back 2 or 3 feet.
The state also experienced a dozen tornadoes in 48 hours, one of which traveled 70 miles. In total, nearly 90 tornadoes were reported across 13 states. Hundreds of volunteers are now helping the storm aftermath.
Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts issued a rare statement today rejecting President Trump's call to impeach a federal judge. That judge has ruled against the Trump administration's use of a law written in 1798 as justification for deporting Venezuelan gang members. Meanwhile, federal judges in 3 different states have blocked Trump's executive order voiding birthright citizenship. Trump is now appealing to the Supreme Court on this issue. The former acting director of ICE under President Obama thinks Trump's order is too broad.
I think we have to remember that it includes individuals who are lawfully here. So under the scope of the order, if you have 2 people on an H-1B visa working at a tech company in San Francisco, they marry, they have a baby. That baby under this order would not be a U.S. citizen. And of course, that flies, contrary to over 120 years of U.S. History.
The Supreme Court last ruled on birthright citizenship 127 years ago.
Here on the Chapman campus, there have been several student demonstrations after the Trump administration ordered the elimination of DEI programs at universities across the country. Last week, the university placed Reg Stewart, head of DEI programming, on leave without explanation. A request for comment on Stewart's status have gone unanswered. Yesterday, there was a student demonstration with several groups turning out to support DEI at Chapman. Myth Mose is the co-president of the Chapman chapter of Students for Justice in Palestine.
DEI is very important because it protects a lot of students and it gives a lot of students access to things they wouldn't have otherwise. It creates a space that protects them all and that gives them an environment to be themselves and find community.
Meanwhile, Chapman University is one of 60 schools under federal investigation related to incidents of anti-Semitism on campus. Shortly after that announcement, Provost Norma Bouchard was also placed on leave without explanation. Chapman News spoke with Rabbi Eliezer Gurari and asked him about the Trump administration's investigation.
But I do think there were some issues that caused them to land up on that list, very specific issues, and that's why they're on there. But I do believe that it's an issue that Chapman should really take seriously, even more so than before, even though they've done an okay job to even be more on top of it and attentive to the Jewish students and their needs.
University administration told the Orange County Register, quote, Chapman has a long-standing history of supporting our Jewish students, faculty, and staff through both our words and actions. This commitment is reflected in our many Jewish life initiatives and our active collaborations with Israeli scholars. Earlier this year, Chapman's DEI office honored the Students for Justice in Palestine chapter with an MLK Community Service Award, but it was later rescinded after criticism from University President Daniele Strupa. Also, yesterday's protest was one of the first to take place after the university put in place rules banning demonstrations that use, quote, amplified sound when classes are being held. While university officials said the students violated that policy, they would not say whether there would be any disciplinary action.
There's a campaign underway to try and remove Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass from office. Bass has been criticized for her response to the devastating January wildfire in Pacific Palisades. She was visiting the African nation of Ghana at the time, despite previous promises not to travel overseas if she was elected mayor. The recall effort is led by Nicole Shanahan, who was Robert F. Kennedy's running mate during his unsuccessful presidential campaign. If the recall campaign gets 300,000 verified voter signatures, there would be a special election to determine if Bass keeps her job.
Here in OC, the Santa Ana Unified School District recently settled a lawsuit over classes which some Jewish groups maintained were anti-Semitic. As a result, 3 ethnic studies classes, which the Jewish groups contended were one-sided and biased against Israel, will no longer be taught until they can be reworked. Arab American advocacy groups argue that the courses represented an accurate view of life in Gaza for Palestinians. Chapman News reached out to the Santa Ana School Superintendent for comment, but did not receive a response. Camp Kesem at Chapman is sparking some magic with their biggest annual fundraising event of the year. More on this story coming up.
What are you doing in there?
What's that?
I wouldn't do that. What are you doing? What are you looking for?
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that. Oh boy.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
The city of Fullerton is cracking down on homeless encampments. In a tight 3-2 vote, the city council approved an ordinance to start detaining those who quote, unlawfully are sleeping on the streets and parks.
Our Angela Hara has more on the story.
Thank you, Courtney and Prinny. This decision comes after a Supreme Court ruling that was issued last summer. The justices struck down on a policy that required cities to provide sheltered beds to those that were unhoused. Now, with that requirement gone, Fullerton is set to crack down on homeless encampments.
At its most recent meeting, the City Council narrowly passed the measure which makes it against the law to sleep on city streets or parks. Fullerton's Mayor Fred Jung says although some people may think it's an extreme measure, an ordinance like this is necessary.
It is not your private home. It is not your private space. It is available to the public just because that is taxpayer-owned land. It is taxpayer money. It should be available for somebody who's 5 years old as well as 55.
Mayor Pro Tem Shayna Charles, who strongly opposes the ordinance, says the detainment of the unhoused should be the last resort.
We have to think of the police situation, the police powers as the last resort, not the first opportunity. I really want to emphasize that. They shouldn't be, oh, we arrest somebody first and then figure out what to do with them. It should be, we get them into services.
Samantha Perez, a Fullerton resident, shares her concerns about this ordinance.
I think the community has to help these type of people because they clearly need our help. It's very obvious. Again, a lot of them suffer from mental illnesses. You can't just automatically assume, oh, they have this criminal history, let's arrest them.
For now, Mayor Pro Tem Charles shares that at the end of the day, Fullerton is a community.
The very center of this argument is that these are people. They're people who live here. They stay in Fullerton because Fullerton is a welcoming community. And so as a community, we need to come together to make sure that our most vulnerable neighbors are taken care of.
According to Orange County's point-in-time count, the city of Fullerton had 432 people experiencing homelessness last year. 208 of those were unhoused, meaning they weren't provided a shelter of some sort. Angela Hara reporting live from Fullerton, Chapman News.
Cal Matters recently reported the California DMV is making millions by auctioning off towed cars. But the catch is that they don't tell the owners. If you don't claim your towed car by a certain period, it can be auctioned off. If there is money left over from the sale, it is held by the DMV. If the owner does not claim the funds within 3 years, the DMV will keep the money. Shayla Myers is an attorney who has represented car owners in several of these cases. She told Cal Matters, people are losing out on money that is rightfully theirs. She said, quote, if there are excess funds but people don't know how to get them, they're as good as vanished. Over the past 8 years, the DMV collected more than $8 million from over 5,000 towed cars. It says the money is used to support departments like the California Highway Patrol.
Recreational use of nitrous oxide, also known as laughing gas, is not new, but a surge in popularity among teenagers is sparking concerns with health officials and lawmakers. Nitrous oxide is used in everything from whipped cream canisters to medical procedures for sedation. It's also marketed with flavored varieties and sold at smoke shops. While some may see it as a harmless party drug, experts warn of serious health risks, including a drop in blood pressure, heart attack, and even hypoxia, the results of which can be fatal. Lawmakers countrywide are taking action to curb the recreational use of nitrous oxide, including County Supervisor Katrina Foley here in Orange County.
And with that, I move to give direction to County Council to draft an ordinance banning the recreational sale of nitrous oxide.
In the wake of the crackdown, authorities continue to seize hundreds of thousands of canisters and chargers from smoke shops across Orange County.
The Placentia Yorba Linda School District's Universal Sports Institute is facing scrutiny over its high price tag. The $4 million program combines academics with elite athletic training, but serves just 97 students out of the 22,000 enrolled in the district. This comes while the district grapples with a $27 million deficit. Trustee Carrie Buck calls the Sports Institute a financial drain, saying it takes resources from other students, but Trustee Leandra Blades defends it as a way to keep student athletes from transferring to private schools. The district has cut institute staff to reduce costs, but board members remain split. A final decision on the program's fate could come next month.
The city of Orange has a big budget deficit and has zeroed in on one way to raise more money: install paid parking at the popular Old Town Plaza area near the Chapman campus. Chapman News reporter Yasmine Bari has more.
The Orange City Council recently approved a plan to implement paid parking around the Orange Plaza. City parking lots will be $1.25 per hour. Street parking in the 8 city blocks closest to the plaza will be $1.50 an hour, and spaces around the traffic circle will be $2 per hour. One city resident I spoke with is not a fan of the new parking policy.
This has always been just a fun, chill area to go and walk around and shop. And I feel like bringing in paid parking is going to bring much more of a shopping mall vibe to the place.
While some residents are unsure about the changes, it could be beneficial to merchants in the area. Jack Carlisle, owner of the potting shed, says it's going to be good for business.
I think it's a value to us because the turnover of spaces is going to be so much quicker.
City staffers say it could take up to 9 months to install the new paid parking system, which will cost $700,000. Despite the public's mixed reactions, the new policy will go into effect this fall. This is Yasmine Bari reporting for Chapman News.
Orange, a long-standing tradition has been put on hold. The Chamber of Commerce says that while the city's deficit played a role, it was not the only reason for the cancellation. The chamber told Chapman News, quote, "While we did see an increase from the city, it was not the sole reason for the cancellation. The cost to organize this parade has increased to $100,000. This cost would place a large financial burden on the chamber." Chamber officials say they are not sure if the parade will return, but that they're focused on supporting local businesses in Orange.
A cancer diagnosis is often a stressful experience for a family. Camp Kestyn is a nationwide summer camp for kids whose families have been impacted by cancer. Our Caroline Chang has more about how this organization is spreading a little bit of magic.
Last Friday, Camp Kestyn's chapter at Chapman University hosted its Make the Magic Night, its biggest fundraising event of the year. The goal is to raise $20,000, enough to let every child who applies attend summer camp for free. But Haley Kamola, director of Camp Kestyn's Chapman chapter, says the organization is about so much more than just a summer camp.
One of the missions of Kestyn is that campers can get away from their home life for a week and just be kids.
And just being a kid can include having a nickname, or what they call a Kestyn name. Counselors like Michael Yarish, who is known as Fromage at camp, is now focused on giving back to the community he grew up in.
When I was 10 years old, my mom got diagnosed with breast cancer, and that's when we were first introduced to Kestyn. I'm so thankful we found it. So I was able to grow up with a Kestyn community and family, and that really was just a healing thing.
The magical night of fundraising included a silent auction, a paddle race, and testimonials from counselors and campers about what Camp Kestyn means to them.
So being a part of that on the other end, and being able to be there for the kids that need that support, has been a life-changing process, and it's really come full circle. So it's been so rewarding to get to see that.
Ava Arnold, also known by her Kestyn name G6, describes how the celebration is key for the success of Camp Kestyn.
It's so great to be able to celebrate the cause and also raise money for camp so we can have fun and continue the legacy.
It's been such a magical night here, fundraising for Camp Kestyn. I'm Caroline Chang, or you can call me by my Kestyn name, Plum, reporting for Chapman News.
At the end of the night, they surpassed their original goal by $11,000. For more about Camp Kestyn at Chapman, check out their Instagram, Kestyn@Chapman.
The Alzheimer's Association reports nearly 7 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with the disease. Alzheimer's Orange County recently held its annual fundraiser walk. More than 2,500 people participated in the event at Angel Stadium, raising $250,000. We spoke with President and CEO Jim McAleer about the importance of providing support for Alzheimer's patients and caregivers.
In Orange County alone, there's over 164,000 people who have some type of memory impairment. So to raise awareness, it's to try and reach those people and to reach the people who care for them and let them know that services exist, that support exists, that there's help out there, and there's hope out there.
Alzheimer's Orange County supports caregivers and patients with training, support groups, and day programs. To learn more about their organization, you can visit alzoc.org.
March is National Music Month, and an organization here in Orange County supports musicians as they pursue their careers. Chapman News reporter Ingrid Lee has the story.
Music is a universal language, but it always involves two parties, the listener and the musician. Jordan Enderton, a junior flute performance major at Chapman University, sees music as a superpower.
To be the person to deliver like those emotions and those feelings, and music has such a big impact on people. It's what makes like life so special.
However, many musicians lack a consistent income. The American Federation of Musicians, or AFM, is a union with many locations in the United States and Canada. AFM Local 7 helps musicians in the Orange County and Long Beach area. Edmund Velasco, AFM Local 7's president, says it's important for audiences to understand the challenges musicians face.
We have a lot of people on both sides of the aisle that really support the arts, but not necessarily the artists. And that's a problem, because you can't have one without the other.
Ian McFarland, a senior studying percussion music performance at Chapman University, acknowledges the work of the union as an emerging musician.
It's helpful to have an organization of people that are able to help you through that have either gone through similar experiences.
To celebrate National Music Month, in addition to listening to music and supporting local musicians, you can also help support AFM Local 7's cause by visiting the link on your screen. I'm Ingrid Lee, reporting for Chapman News.
Sunshine is back in OC after a week of rain.
That's right. Grace Song has more on the latest weather updates. Grace?
Thanks, Courtney and Prinny. Let's start with a look at our national forecast, where we're expecting another wave of severe weather to hit parts of the nation. Starting off in the west, Denver and eastern Colorado are under a fire warning until 4 p.m. today, with a combination of gusty storms and warm temperatures expected. Wind gusts are expected to be over 40 miles per hour in Denver. The eastern plains have a chance of rain developing into snow during the evening hours. Let's take a shift to the south, particularly in Atlanta, Oklahoma, and Texas, where those weekend storms brought major destruction. Oklahoma wildfires sparked again yesterday, leading to evacuations. In Florida, there is a red flag warning as winds and low humidity raise the risk. Now let's take a look at our local weather forecast. Here are some good news. After a week of rain, SoCal is back with a week of sunshine. We'll see comfortable temperatures in the mid-60s along the coast here in Orange County. Now moving on to our 5-day Fenestra forecast. Temperatures are looking good with sunshine throughout this week with some nice vitamin D. I hope that all of you will enjoy your spring break coming up soon. I'm Grace Song, and this is Chapman News.
Coming up, the Trump administration's combative relationship with news reporters. We'll take a look at how the president is attempting to undermine their work.
I'm Czerena Martinne Bayle. March Madness is heating up and baseball is back. We've got the latest on the NCAA tournament and the season opening game right after the break.
During high school, I hung with the wrong crowd and I never graduated.
I helped Santiago in many different ways, like all fathers do, because he always wanted to go to college.
I felt a little embarrassed to come back to school, but eventually, once I came here, I knew that it's for a bigger goal.
He was very dedicated, hardworking. He connected with his teachers, he connected with other students. That was one of the key reasons why he was able to keep forging ahead.
It was amazing to see him graduate. This was one thing that meant so much to him, and of course, it meant so much to us too.
With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed. That support is everything.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Jason, let's go see your room.
That's not right. How is it? Is it good?
From blocking Associated Press reporters from covering the White House to ousting journalists from the Pentagon, the Trump administration has stepped up on several news organizations. The White House recently announced...
You know, he has adopted, in my opinion, many of the same...
The White House recently announced it will decide which media outlets are members of the news pool, which is the group of journalists who have daily access to the president. From covering the White House because its journalists are still referring to the Gulf of America as the Gulf of Mexico, which President Trump renamed as part of an executive order, Chapman University journalism instructor Cheryl Jackson says Trump has long attacked the credibility of experienced reporters.
You know, he has adopted, in my opinion, many of the same ideas Hitler did by disqualifying and discrediting the press, making people believe they can't believe the press.
In addition to the AP ban, the Department of Defense announced that news outlets including NBC News, CNN, and the New York Times would have to vacate their workspaces at the Pentagon. Media outlets that are considered friendly to Trump, including One American News Network, New York Post, will replace those workspaces.
The biggest college basketball tournament of the year is tipping off today.
Our sports reporter Czerena Martinne Bayle has the latest. Czerena?
Thanks, Courtney and Prinny. With just 2 hours left till tip-off, the brackets are locked and basketball fans everywhere are ready for the madness. In the men's bracket, Auburn, Duke, Houston, and Florida all secured #1 seeds. And the SEC has set a new record with 14 out of its 16 teams earning spots in the tournament. And for the first time, UCLA is the #1 seed in the women's bracket, joining South Carolina, Texas, and USC. All eyes are on these powerhouse teams, but remember, in March Madness, anything can happen. The action starts today in Dayton, Ohio, with play-in games for the 16th seed spots. Congratulations are in order for Chapman athletes after the NCAA Indoor Track and Field Championship this past weekend. Junior sprinter Mason Farah and senior pole vaulter Jesse McMillan qualified for the event after a record-breaking season. Farah, competing in the 100-meter dash, finished 16th overall, earning his first All-American award. McMillan had the best finish in Chapman history as the Division III national runner-up. He set a new school record as he cleared 5.10 meters for the first time in his career. Both athletes are now setting their sights on the outdoor track season, aiming to break even more records. And baseball season is in full swing. The Los Angeles Dodgers and the Chicago Cubs took the field in the MLB season opener at the iconic Tokyo Dome in Japan. Reigning NL MVP Shohei Ohtani sparked a rally for the Dodgers in the 5th with a 1-out single. LA went on to score 3 runs in the 5th and another in the 9th to take the win, 4-1. 23-year-old Roki Sasaki will make his MLB debut in his home country in Game 2 of the Tokyo Series at 3:10 a.m. Pacific Time. Here in OC, the Angels are looking to make the playoffs for the first time since 2014. Second-year manager Ron Washington will lead a revamped squad highlighted by the off-season acquisition of starter Yusei Kikuchi, former batting champ Tim Anderson, and future Hall of Fame closer Kenley Jansen. But despite those key adds, pitching remains the team's biggest issue, with Fangraphs only giving the Halos a 3.3% chance of winning the AL West. And that's all in this week for sports. I'm Czerena Martinne Bayle, and I'll see you soon.
I'm Kestyn Hudson. A local business owner and veteran is making an impact by inspiring creativity and connection in Orange County. More on the story after the break.
If you love them enough to drive an hour to cheer them on as they get beat 11-0 in the rain, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Good afternoon. I'm Natalie Ross. And I'm Samantha Thomas.
Good afternoon and welcome to Chapman News. I'm Steve.
Good afternoon. Welcome to this week's
edition
of Chapman News.
Since 2010, Chapman News has been covering weather, entertainment, sports, politics, and news broadcasting from Dodge College's Marionette Studios.
As the only live newscast in Orange County, our journalists aim to highlight local, statewide, and national communities.
We're here to provide the most accurate, engaging, and relevant news for our community.
Tune in to our nationally recognized and award-winning newscast, Chapman News.
Watch locally on Channel 6 or on our YouTube to stay updated with the latest.
March is here and it's time for the annual California Grunion Run. During this time of the year, at high tide, grunion fish come out of the water and lay their eggs on the shoreline at several points of the Southern California coast. The thousands of fish that come ashore put on quite a show here at some OC beaches. Many people grab buckets, their camera phones, and a flashlight to try and grab the slippery fish. The California grunions will only be visible on certain days starting this month and continuing throughout August. For more info, you can visit wildlife.ca.gov.
Tucked away in the streets of Old Town Orange near the Chapman campus is an old comic book store turned art studio.
Chapman News feature reporter Kestyn Hudson joined us live in studio to tell us more about the owner's journey.
Thanks, Prinny and Courtney. I recently spoke with entrepreneur and veteran Mike Solis, founder of Soulland. Mike shared his story on how he came to start the art studio and how he hopes to inspire others in the community. Soulland is a place where creativity has no limits. Guests paint pottery, tote bags, or paint-by-number canvases.
The mission for Soulland is to have a creative space, a safe space for people to come in, enjoy themselves. We want it to be more than an art studio.
Mike collaborates with local artists and business owners to host community events and workshops, including open mic nights, wine tastings, and themed paint nights.
I believe in collaboration opposed to competition, so I want to collaborate with as many artists, any entrepreneurs, and have a safe space for people to come in and like do homework and like study and like paint and just connect and be together.
As a child, Mike moved frequently and lacked stability, with art being one of the few constants in his life. His upbringing inspired him to create a safe space for local youth, the safe space he wished he had.
I think just growing up in crappy conditions and not having any support really enables me to do that. And I'm super humble and fortunate and blessed to have the opportunity to do something like that.
Soulland has partnered with several organizations such as Big Brothers Big Sisters of Orange County and the LA and Santa Ana school districts to provide free art workshops for local youth.
I really hope that we inspire a child or an adult or even a senior citizen to like just take art and go full frontal with it, or not even, it doesn't even have to be art. It doesn't even have to be, it could be the simple fact that they're here just kind of zoning out and they get some ideas or they find some inspiration or they have a conversation with somebody else that that enables them to, you know, uplift them and give them some motivation.
Soulland is a safe haven for everyone, no matter their background, to come in, connect, and create something amazing. For more information about the art studio and its workshops, visit soullandlab.com or follow @soulland.lab on Instagram. I'm Kestyn Hudson, reporting for Chapman News.
Thank you so much, Kestyn. That is all for this week's edition of Chapman News.
We are on spring break next week, so our next newscast will be on April 8th. See you then.